Because everyone agrees this is going to be a great episode, Ryan.
Gosh. Everyone does not agree.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure everyone agrees this is going to be a great episode.
Everyone agrees that this is going to be a great episode, but some people think
It'll
maybe
stink.
not.
Welcome to My Hill to Die On, episode 62.
Everyone has things that they're passionate about.
Things we want our friends to try and experience.
So we've convinced each other to try different things.
And we talk about these experiences to see if we can get just one more person
to join us on our hill to die on.
So, I was going to ask you, should we replace this week's topic with Severance?
Oh, you mean the thing that I definitely finished watching already now?
Oh, you didn't?
No, I did.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
I finished watching all the episodes. So, as I told you, I got burned, and because I was really badly sunburned, I just did not want to go outside and couldn't even concentrate on anything because, the pain and the tiredness was just no, I can't even concentrate right now. Even right now, the top of my head is still burning. I do catch that it is hard to keep my focus sometimes because I'm just Anyway, all of my plans to be productive and get things done ended up with me turning this entire week into just a relaxation, recovery, and rest, which ended up with me reading a couple of books.
That's good.
Yeah, more than one. Watching 7 movies, finishing the entire series of Severance. Yeah, I watched a lot of stuff like that.
So what do you think of Severance?
I am a little upset with you right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Because you were like, oh, you should really watch this. You should really watch this. And I loved it. And then the final episode. And it's pure cliffhanger.
Oh, I know.
And now I have to wait until a season 2 comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody could have just waited until season 2 came out and allowed me to watch it in my own time. But no, now I have to be sitting on the edge of my seat waiting for some sort of conclusion to the cliffhanger.
It's a good cliffhanger, huh?
Oh, it's a good cliffhanger. Because everybody has something that's about to happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the credits roll.
Mm-hmm. But it's super weird in general, right? I mean, you think, what would it be like to, I love just the simple, this concept is simple. You separate your work life from your personal life, right? But the amount that entails.
Yeah, it's rough. The one thing that I do really want to know about is, the
question, are we going to turn it into a main media? Should we stop here?
Do you want to talk about it as a main media?
I think it was great. I think there's lots we could talk about. The production design, everything, right?
Yeah.
So I think it could be.
I think it's got potential.
You don't want to pick it, huh?
I have too many other things I want to pick already.
I know.
I just finished a couple more books where I was just this I could potentially add this to a hill.
What if we did this 2 seasons, right? Of course, probably the second season might end on a cliffhanger of some sort too.
Yeah. When does season 2 come out?
I have no idea. I'm pretty sure they're working on one though, which is oh, good. Please work on one. Don't leave us like that. I don't know when it'll come out. I hope it's not like Lost. So many mysteries, never an answer, but I don't think it'll be like that.
Yeah, but Lost was so intriguing up until the end.
Maybe up until season 2 or season 3, maybe. It had four seasons, right? Desmond was interesting in the beginning of season 2. That was a good introduction.
There are 6 seasons of Lost.
6 seasons of Lost. Wow, I didn't remember that. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. It felt like it was pretty good until I think the last season really dropped the ball.
I think so too.
Anyway.
All right, we'll leave Severance another time. We'll talk about it another time. So anyway, I watched Multiverse of Madness, which was a Multiverse of Madness.
You saw the Multiverse of Madness?
I did.
Yeah. Interesting, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I saw Matrix Resurrections last night.
How was that?
Better than number 3.
Low bar.
Low bar.
What about compared to number 2?
Better than number 2 also, I think. Definitely not as good as the original.
Well, very few things can be.
We did make the executive decision to not go see Buzz Lightyear. Yeah.
But it's Buzz Lightyear.
I know. It was the next Pixar movie, and it came to the theaters. But instead of spending, $70 to get our family to a theater to watch it, this movie is not ranking that well. We'll just watch it in 3 months when it comes on Disney+. But I have a feeling we'll go see the Minions movie, Rise of Gru.
Oh, yeah.
When that one comes out. That one's gotten pretty good ratings so far, anyway.
Well, I mean, it's another Despicable Me movie, so, they usually do pretty well.
Although I'm trying to talk my wife into go seeing Thor: Love and Thunder, but I don't think I'm going to be able to talk her into it. So
I want to go and see that.
We'll watch it when it comes out in Disney+.
Yeah, I need to see and check out what movies are coming to the theaters near here.
Thor: Love and Thunder is already out.
Yeah, well,
so you should go see.
I should just go and see it and then tell you all about it.
Exactly. Tell me if you at least like it.
It's probably going to be yes, because let's face it, I really enjoy Thor movies. Yeah, I'm probably going to like this one based solely on what I've seen, but I don't know. I'll see.
One of the reasons that I've been keeping up with my books and things and podcasts and such is that I've been exercising, walking or running. Mm-hmm. I started earlier in the winter than I normally do. Usually my cycle is I start sometime in the spring, May-ish, maybe April, walking, and then run through the summer. And then when school starts and things get super busy, I kind of fall off the wagon. And then the cycle starts again the next year. The cross-country season helps me because I'm able to run a little bit then. But then as soon as the cross-country season ends, I do no exercising. So that's usually my yearly cycle. But this year I started earlier. I started walking sometime January, February. And that was nice. And when I walk, I take my phone with me and just listen to podcasts or books or whatever with my phone in my pocket. Very convenient. And when I switched from walking to running in late May, early June, there was a bunch of really good podcasts that I really wanted to listen to, but I hate carrying my phone when I run. I don't like to have anything when I run. Just me. I don't want to have anything in my pockets. I don't want to have anything at all. So I tried out this time having podcasts. Well, I mean, I think Overcast just does it. I probably set it up forever ago. Overcast just syncs your podcasts to your watch. So while I've been running recently, I've been listening to podcasts, and that's been quite interesting. I bring one AirPod in one ear and my watch, which I always wear my watch anyway because I like to record the distances and get the maps and things like that and see my pace. But it has been interesting connecting my AirPod to my watch and listening to podcasts while I run. I've generally speaking hated listening to things while I've run. That's also something. Well, and one of the reasons why I never listen to music when I run is because I don't want to have anything. I don't want to have an iPod in my hand. I don't want to have it strapped to my arm. I don't want to have any of that stuff. So listening to podcasts through my watch has been quite interesting because I haven't had to have anything. I don't have any wires to go straight to an AirPod wirelessly. I've discovered, though, that I can't really listen to books because I get too engrossed. So podcasts, which don't require a lot of concentration, have been better. So I've been enjoying that. Have you ever tried to do that?
Listen to podcasts while I run? Yeah.
Or through your watch, even? I mean...
Oh, yes.
Oh.
I often did that back when, I regularly tried to run outside.
Mm-hmm.
But now, apparently I'm opposed to the outside.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wish I could listen to books, and I probably could a little bit, but I haven't really been able to, especially because some of the books don't sync over because they're too big in size. They never download. They never finish downloading because too much of the watch limitations, I think. And then some of my books I get through my library and they're on Libby, so I can't download them to my watch anyway. Only the ones that are in Overcast can I do.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? I think my biggest problem with reading while running is the fact that so many of the books that I read, I get very wrapped up in them.
Yeah.
And so it's so hard not to just want to suddenly stop and just stare off into nothingness listening to the book.
Mm-hmm. I have noticed that if I listen to a book while I walk, because when I had my phone and was walking, I would not walk as fast as if I was listening to a podcast or not listening to anything at all. I would slow down because I was concentrating more on the book than keeping up my pace.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I think for me, because when I go on walks, I tend to go on what I could really only describe as a good kind of wandering. Mm-hmm. Books are great for that because you're just going somewhere. And I love doing that, when I'm not fried. But most of one of the books that I read over this past week was I was heading to a shop and was listening to the book. And yeah, probably I was walking slower than I normally do because I was listening to the book. But it was a great walk. It was probably because I was walking slower that I took a little bit extra time. And because I took a little bit extra time, and that's the exact cause of my pain. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I think walking while listening to books is good. I can do that easily. I don't think I could run while listening to a book. But then again, I do all of my exercise indoors right now. I mean, among other things, I still don't quite feel right not wearing a mask outside. Mm-hmm. I still pretty much religiously wear a mask if I am anywhere outside of my house. In Japan, I believe the rules for outside have been relaxed a bit, but I still don't feel comfortable, especially because I know that as one of the few foreigners in the country, I don't want to be the bad representation.
I run mostly on the river. Well, actually, no. Now that I've been doing summer running, I move other places. But one of the things I've noticed in my walks before I started running is that it had gotten to about 50% of the people are wearing masks, 50% aren't. And I'm not only talking about just runners. There are people just walking their dogs and aren't wearing their masks.
Yeah.
So I feel more comfortable taking my mask off when I'm running. But when I was walking, I kept my mask on all the time because I figured I can. I'm not exerting myself enough to feel the need to take my mask off. But when I'm running, I could run with a mask on, and I do during school practices. But when I'm by myself running, I'm by myself. I run on the opposite side of the road or path. Mm-hmm. And the paths are wide enough here. As long as I take measures to avoid everyone, which I can, I feel fine.
And I just know that because of all the reasons I just said, I just don't feel comfortable not going out without a mask. And so even if I were to go running outside, I would still want to wear a mask. And I know me, and I know the shape I am in. And so running with a mask on, it's considerable more effort. Mm-hmm. So I just think that for me, exercising indoors has been good for me, but I love to go on walks with books. And yeah, I've done it with my watch before, but I tend to just, if I'm going on a walk, I'll have my backpack with me anyway. And so all my stuff will be in there anyway.
I have really wanted to get a cellular Apple Watch, but they're just too impractical here. You can't really get a good contract. You have to sign up for a very expensive contract and then pay a lot more money for an Apple Watch on top of it. So at some point, I hope they relax some of that restriction, but it hasn't happened yet. At some point, maybe.
At some point. It's either that or you start setting up your own self-service.
Yeah, and then run only in that area.
Yeah, exactly. So you just got back from one trip, mm-hmm. and you're about to leave for another.
Yep. And you just got back from one trip, and you're about to leave for another?
No. I got back from one trip and went, well, that was good for relaxation, but not good for productivity. So now I need to really focus in on my productivity. So I will probably be shutting myself indoors for a bit. Mm-hmm. Feeling tomorrow I might not even leave the house. Mm-hmm. I might leave the house to get some food, but that's about it.
Yeah. It's gotten cooler recently, too, which is nice. It was probably cooler where you were.
Oh, it was very cool where I was, and I really enjoyed it. I spent a week up by Yamanakako, which is a lake really close to Mount Fuji.
Really close.
Really close. You know how often I take pictures? Mm-hmm. I took a total of 4 pictures on this trip.
Ooh, that's a big number.
Big number for Ryan. Now, that being said, of the 4, 3 are of Fuji, and 1 is of my arm. So I believe I've already sent you the...
Yeah, you sent me the one with your burnt arm.
Yeah. This was
Ooh.
from the day that I was walking around the lake.
Can I make that one the chapter?
Yeah, you can. It was a beautiful day. And so essentially what I had done, I went to this lake. It's a beautiful lake. Lots of really... I mean, I can't think of other words besides beautiful right now.
Oh, yeah, it's a gorgeous lake, yeah.
Yeah. And so what I decided to do was one of my friends had contacted me and said, "Oh, you're up there? Well, there's this really good cafe that you should go to and check out." And so I said, okay, I'll go check it out. So from where I was staying, it was essentially on the opposite side of the lake. Now, if I had gone counterclockwise, it was about a 45-minute walk. But me, in my brilliance, looked at the map and said, "Oh no, clockwise seems closer."
Oh, really?
I don't know why. I think my eyes were playing tricks on me or something. But either way, I went clockwise around, and the clockwise path has a lot more backwards and forwards loops and things.
And it's the wider end of the lake, too, isn't it?
It is also the wider end of the lake. So the 45-minute walk one way was about a 2.5-hour walk the other way. So I walked the 2.5 hours to the cafe. Now, here's the thing. It is a lovely cafe, delicious coffee, and oh my gosh, they had wonderful and fantastic pie. I think it was like pear and almond pie. It was, delicious. So I got there, had the pie, then walked the rest of the way back, essentially completing a full circuit around the lake. I think I ended up being out for somewhere around 4.5 to 5 hours in total, which, I think of that 4.5 to 5 hours, I think I was walking for about 4 of them. And for those of you who don't know me, or at least know the type of person I am one of a rather fair complexion, to the point where I say hello to the sun and it says, "Oh, I'm going to have fun with you."
Mm-hmm.
And so I had clearly not put on enough sunscreen that day, or any, because I thought it was a half-hour trip. So I came back absolutely bright red and very badly sunburnt. Which, you'd think that at this point in my life, I would have learned by now. Again, I thought this trip was a lot shorter than it actually was going to be. I was not expecting a 5-hour trip. I was expecting like an hour, maybe 2 at most. So, yes, I came back extremely toasted and basically spent the rest of my trip indoors, watching movies, trying to relax and allow my body to recover. Which, I am on the mend. I am mostly there now.
Good. Yeah, the clockwise side is the side that has the tail, too.
Yep.
Oh, well.
Either way, it was a really good walk. It was very beautiful. I would do it again, but I will next time remember to carry the sunblock with me and reapply halfway through.
Actually, your picture's quite nice. The snow is melting off the top, so it's getting probably pretty close to open season.
Oh, yeah.
I think it opens in July, doesn't it?
I think it's already open now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's open season to climb. I mean, I've done the night climb before, and I think you have too.
Yes, twice.
I've only done it once, and you know what? I know that I could potentially do it again, but not really feeling it right now.
You took the bus, huh?
Oh, yes.
I have taken the bus to Yamanaka-ko, too.
Yeah, it was pretty uneventful for me.
Yeah, it's not a bad bus. It goes from Shinjuku just to like pretty close to the place where you were staying. Like, what is it, 500 meters, 600 meters maybe?
If that. I want to say it was probably even closer. It might have even been only 400 meters.
It's a nice bus.
Yeah, it was really close. It drops you off right at the lakeside. It was really good. I had no issue with that bus. Bought the ticket the day of. You just walk in, go to the little kiosk, punch in what ticket you want. No problem. And then it just takes you there.
Yeah, the second time I climbed Fuji, I actually took the bus from Shinjuku to the 5th station directly. And then, we came back down the mountain and then grabbed the bus back to Shinjuku from there.
You mean you didn't climb from the first station?
No. No. Most people do climb from the 5th station.
Yeah, I climbed from the 5th station. There's no way I would be climbing from the first station.
It's got to be a lot. You got to add like a whole day to your trip.
Yeah, you probably do.
Because it's so
far down.
Well, I mean, it's shallow. The stations are based on height, not distance.
Mm-hmm.
It's a much gentler slope. I mean, it would probably be easy, but it would be much longer. Not too many people climb from the first station. But the 5th station is very popular. There's not too many vehicles going beyond the 5th station anyway, I think.
No, I think past the 5th station, I think it has to be like, you have to have special permission.
Yeah. I don't even know how they get the stuff up there. Like all of the supplies that they've got up there. I mean, the amount of curry that they cook up there. How do they even get all that up there? It's not airlifted, is it? You think? Do you think it's helicopter?
No, I think there's got to be like one route that is designated for vehicles or something.
Or do you think it's one of those trolley things that runs on a rail, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen those things?
Yep.
In the mountains here in Japan. I've seen them every once in a while.
So I took the day bus to get there, but I heard that you had an experience with a night bus recently.
I think we talked, was it last time?
Yeah, I believe last time we talked about you preparing for this night bus.
Preparing for the night bus. And in all, it was a lot less eventful than I expected. I think, if anything, we were, I would say, over-prepared, maybe. We were too excited to go because this whole trip we're going to Osaka, and we had told my kids we're going to Universal Studios, so they were very excited. Like, is it time yet? Is it time yet? And of course, usually when you leave on a trip, you wake up in the morning, you have breakfast, you finish up packing, and you leave, right? Yeah, the night bus, we don't leave for the bus stop until well after dinner because it's night bus. It goes like late at night. Mm-hmm. I think the bus we were taking left at 9:30. No. You had to be there. Well, okay. There was some discussion on when we had to be there. Some places say, you have to be there half an hour ahead of time. And I realized later that, you have to be there half an hour ahead of time if it's a lounge pickup. If it's the bus stop pickup, which is where we were starting at, you don't have to be there half an hour ahead of time. Anyway, that was a little disconcerting. But so we got there half an hour ahead of time and just waited around for the bus to arrive, which I was a little disappointed because it was the first stop. So I was like, well, shouldn't the bus just be parked here waiting for everyone to arrive? But no, the bus came like 2 minutes before the time we get in. And I guess that's not really the departure time. That must have been the bus arrival time, not the anyway. So it was a little confusing on the time we actually had to be there. So we arrived way too early at the bus stop. But even still, we left at our house at 9 because it was only a half an hour train ride. So we left very early, but still 9 p.m. at night. It's, it was a long time to wait around to go. I think it was nice to get the nicer bus. Mm-hmm. I'm fairly pleased with that. The bus ride there was pretty good. I had the frontmost seat in the center aisle, which has a barrier in front. But on the bus ride on the way there, the barrier was way out front, so I had a lot of legroom and it was no problem. So I enjoyed that. I did stir when the bus stopped at all of the stations, it stopped every 2 hours at a rest area. So I did stir awake at all of those. I wonder if I was sitting in the back of the bus, if I wouldn't have stirred awake so much, but the people passing me didn't make so much noise as much as the bus stopping and the drivers getting out and opening the curtains and blah, blah, blah. I think that's more what stirred me. I'm also very glad that I got the bus with the toilets because that's an option. You don't have to get bus with toilets. I didn't end up using it, but my daughter used it a lot. I think she was a bit nervous, but I could have seen myself using it too. I didn't, but I could have easily seen myself having to go to the bathroom. I did get off at one bus stop and go to the bathroom in the morning, the one that's close to Osaka. There's one last rest area a half an hour before you get to Kyoto, I think it is. And then Kyoto is another hour to Osaka. So I did get off at that bus stop and go to the bathroom. So quite nice. The bus was nice. The seats were good. 2 of my daughters took the window seats that have curtains that close, so they were able to sleep a lot of the time. Actually, one of the interesting things was because we got on the very first bus stop, the bus didn't depart from that bus stop until about 10 p.m. And then it took about an hour to go downtown Tokyo and do all the other bus stops downtown Tokyo, and then go from Tokyo, then start its way to Osaka, right? It was an annoying train ride to get to that bus stop we got on, but it was only a half an hour. So it was pretty quick. But I'm glad I decided to do that because it gave my daughters the chance to be excited about the bus and get settled in. So by the time we left the last bus stop in Tokyo, it had been an hour and a half that we'd been on the bus already, and all the newness had worn off, and they were able to go right to sleep. It would have been easy to get on the last bus stop in Tokyo because that would have only been like maybe an hour train ride with not too many transfers, so it would have been easy to make. In fact, the bus stop we got on, there was 2 transfers. Had to like get outside a train station transfers. Not as pleasant, but so we could have gotten a very easy train all the way down to where the last bus stop in Tokyo was. But then my daughters would have spent another hour from that point being excited about the thing and then finally falling asleep, which would have been way too late at night. So I'm kind of glad we got on at the first stop because then they were settled enough to go to sleep after the last bus stop in Tokyo, which was pretty late at night by that time. I think it was like 11:30 or something. So it was late at night for them already. And then the bus wakes you up at 6 a.m. because you arrive in Kyoto at like 6. It is very weird to get someplace so early in the morning.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest problem, is that we got there so early and couldn't check into the hotel for another, 9 hours? It's like, what do we do for 9 hours?
I mean, that's what I did with, I think it was Hiroshima, where I took the night bus, arrived, and I had a day before I could even really check in. Well, I found out that I could check in, I think, at like afternoon. So I ended up doing a bunch of like little trips and little things here and there, and then checking in and then spending the rest of the afternoon into the evening doing the bigger things. So what did you end up doing?
I forget what we did right away, but we did go to the aquarium in Osaka, and that was quite fun. It's a pretty neat aquarium. It's a very oddly shaped building, but when you go inside, it makes complete sense on why they shape it that way. Aquarium was nicely laid out inside, and I was pleasantly surprised at how good the aquarium was. Actually, first thing we did was check our bag in the hotel. Just dropped off the bags at the hotel. That was fine. And then we went on to visit the aquarium, and then just hung out in a cafe. I think we hung out in Starbucks next to the aquarium for a little while. And then by that time, the hotel was open for us to check into. And then we hung out at the hotel. So, yeah, worked out very well. I'm glad also that time we were having a heat wave here in Tokyo. You were here that week, right? I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah, I didn't go outside much that week because I went outside and was like, you know what? No, this is just wrong. And then we went to bed early because we were still pretty tired from the trip. My daughters were mostly excited because we were going to USJ, Universal Studios Japan. But then we were able to get them to bed early, and we woke up plenty early to line up. And the opening time and closing time were quite constrained. But I had read on the internet, just show up early, and they open up the gates a half an hour early anyway. But they did close the park at 7 p.m., which came up on us faster than I expected. It seemed like far away in the morning, but it came up pretty quick, of course. We definitely lucked out at USJ. We went at one of the best times. Like, there was almost nobody in the park, apparently, because all the waits were super short. Some of the things we saw on YouTube were like, go straight to your favorite ride, get there early. So you went straight to the Super Mario World.
I was considering that. Now, I was thinking Super Mario World being the area that just opened. It recently opened. Maybe a year ago? Was that? I don't know.
I think it was about a year ago now.
About a year ago. So that will have the longest waits. So I was like, maybe we should go there first. But I think the most important thing to my family, at least my younger daughters, was to go to the Harry Potter world.
That makes sense.
I figured if we don't do the Mario rides because the lines are too long, we're there for the Harry Potter rides. We'll do the Harry Potter rides. So we headed straight for the Harry Potter rides. There was no wait. Walked right into the lines, got on, did it once. Then we all went out and got back on and did it a second time. And by that time, I'm realizing, my goodness, these rides are shaky. I am getting motion sickness through these rides. Then we did the Hippogriff ride too, which also had no wait. So it was wonderful. We did one ride twice, and then the Hippogriff ride all within an hour, or maybe all within the first half an hour. Like, had gotten through all of it really quickly. And then looking at the USJ app, the Mario area, the rides had gotten quite long. The Mario Kart ride in the Bowser's Castle thing had gotten to like 80 minutes. We're like, we're not waiting for that. But we did head over there anyway. The Mario World's quite interesting. When you walk in at first, it's like, wow, this area is tiny. But then, of course, you look down and there's like 3 levels of area. So it's actually pretty large when you get in there. So we did the Yoshi ride. It was only a 20-minute wait. We did the Yoshi ride and then we left because we weren't going to wait for the Mario Kart ride. Then we did a bunch of other rides around, but man, all the rides are shaky rides. The Despicable Me ride is, let's see how much we can shake you in this little car. And the Super Mario ride is, let's see how much we can shake you in this car. It's like, oh my goodness. So I don't think these rides are for me. My coworker warned me of this. She said, do you get motion sickness? I'm like, yeah, I get kind of motion sickness on spinny rides and things like that. She's like, yeah, you got to be careful. So yeah, some of the rides me and my wife went on, but then the kids want to do it again. Like, okay, you guys can do it again. We're just going to sit out here and wait. You guys can do those rides. But it was nice that it was cooler there, but it was still a bit hot. And especially when you're running around and you're all excited, like my daughters are, and just jumping up and down with joy. So we went in to get lunch at one of the restaurants, and my wife saw, it flashes quickly because she's like, oh, it's on the screen. Look, Nate. She saw an advertisement for a drink bar. And I was like, what's a drink bar? Where? I don't even see that anywhere else. And on the loop of advertisements that are on the screens that go through, it's up for like 10 seconds out of a whole minute loop or something like that. Because I didn't see it again for quite a while. But there's the thing for a drink bar. And this was the thing that saved us. I talked to a few people coming back here to school, and none of them had heard of this. And here's the way we used it. I'm not sure if this is official because I didn't find enough material on it in English before we bought it. And it seemed to fly, but hey, I don't know if it'll work all the time. But we bought one drink bar ticket for like 1,500 yen. And the person who buys the drink bar gets a wristband. And that person can then go through the line as many times as they want and get as many drinks as they want, but you can only get one drink per time through the line. So because there was not that many people there, this worked out in our favor. I'd go through the line, get a drink. I'd go bring it to my family at the table. Then I'd go through the line again and get a drink. And then I'd bring it to my family at the table. And then I'd go through the line again and get a drink. Now, I would have to wait less than 5 minutes each time I went through the line because the line, even during lunchtime, it was kind of busy. But still, I think we got something like 15 drinks through this. So yeah, each drink was about 100 yen. That worked out pretty good. I mean, we didn't make as much value as a 2-liter bottle of soda, but we'd made much better value than the 250 yen per 500 milliliter bottle that was in the vending machines that we'd already bought 2 of because standing in the sun, it was hot. So we bought some drinks already. And this drink bar thing works in that restaurant and works in like 6 others around the park. Not everywhere, but they do give you a little map and they're fairly spread out. So you can get to one pretty quickly. For the 15 drinks, we did it at lunch and we also did it at another one near the Jaws area. And we were going to do it at a third one, but the line was too long. We didn't want to wait for that one at that particular place. So yeah, it worked out well for us. We made some good value with that one. USJ still made some good money out of us.
Oh, yeah.
Then after that, we went back to Harry Potter again, and the line was super short. So my daughters went through the Hogwarts ride twice more. So they went through that ride 4 times. Me and my wife just sat and watched. We didn't feel the need to go through it again. But then we went to the Ollivander shop because this was one of the things that they really wanted to do. When we went through that Harry Potter world so early in the morning, Ollivander's hadn't opened up yet. This is the wand shop.
Yes.
In the afternoon, we went through the shop, and my middle daughter, who was super excited about all the Harry Potter stuff, actually got picked by Ollivander to do the demo things that they have you do. Be part of the show, right? She's the volunteer for the part of the show. So she actually got picked for that. So she was super pleased. And then we ended up buying that wand. I talk about a lot of money for a piece of wood or a piece of plastic. A piece of plastic with a reflector on the end. Oh, well.
Now, here's the real question. Because you bought the wand, did you have to buy 3 wands?
No, that was the thing. I said, look, we're buying one wand and it belongs to all of us. It does not belong to the middle daughter who's super excited about it, who would want to claim it. No, this is the whole family's wand. So that was very strictly part of the deal because, yes, a lot of money for a piece of plastic. But, it's pretty cool. And they told us right up front, too, that this wand will do things at the park. Like, you can go around and do all the magic things at the park. And we're like, oh, that's kind of fun. But we knew we were running out of time. So we did 1 or 2 of those things and then ran off back to the Mario Kart ride, which had gone down drastically. They said 30 minutes when I looked at the app, but by the time we got there, basically we walked into the instruction area and got right on. Like, there was really no wait. So we did a good job with that. We did that ride. And then by that time it had gotten to 7 p.m. And the only thing we didn't get to do, which me and my oldest daughter rushed off to go to the Jurassic Park roller coaster because she wanted to do that. We didn't get to do that. We had just missed the entry. They wouldn't let us in. But when I checked the app as we were running to it, they said it was open. But then by the time we got there, the app said it was closed. So that's too bad. We just missed that one. But big deal. We did all the other fun stuff we wanted to do.
Well, you can always watch the new movie now.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. It's going to outdate the ride anyway. But then we went back to the Harry Potter land because apparently they don't kick you out of the park right at 7. We found out. We went back to the Harry Potter land and spent another hour basically waving the wand at the cameras that are looking for the reflector, at the infrared cameras looking for the wand, and did all the magic stuff there for about another hour. And there are some people there who are very good at getting that magic stuff to happen. They just walk around and just wave their little piece of plastic with a reflector on it in front of the thing, and it just opens up or whatever. The fire spits out whatever. And we would stand there trying it and not get as good as they did. But it's pretty funny. So we did that for about another hour, just standing there doing that. So that was quite fun. I'm glad we got more value out of that wand. So each of my daughters got to do, there's 8 spots you can stand on and do magic, quote unquote magic.
Well, it's a swish and a flick. You got to remember this. The swish and flick.
It's all in the wrist. It's all in, I have no idea. Well, that's the thing. You watch these guys do it who are really good at it, and they're not even doing what it says to do. They're doing something completely different, but they're getting it to work every time. And then my daughters go up and do exactly what it says to do, and it's not doing the thing. So I don't exactly know the real trick there. But there were some people there that were really good at getting that stuff to open up. But all of my daughters got to do all the 8 spots, and they all did a pretty good job. So I was pretty pleased. And then we headed out. And one of the interesting things too is that the hotel we stayed at this time was quite close to the park. And it's closer to the park than what we do at Disney. Disney, we usually drive from the hotel, even though it's in the same town. We usually drive to Disneyland. But it is quite nice to be just basically 400 meters outside the park and you land in your hotel. So that was quite nice, especially when we're dead tired. And then it was the next day, we had another day of rest waiting till the night bus came, which worked out okay. Basically, we didn't do anything. And I was realizing that, man, it would be nice to travel during the day at this point. We're standing here waiting for the bus to come. We did go downtown and have some okonomiyaki, which apparently is big and famous in Osaka, and it was delicious. So very glad we did that. But then we waited around some more for the bus to pick us up at night. And the bus ride back was pretty much the same. The only real difference was the seat that I was in the front. Because I was in the first seat, the wall was much closer to me than on the first bus. I couldn't really stretch out my legs as much as I could the first time. But in the end, it didn't matter. I was dead tired enough to sleep anyway. I did stir at the bus stops, and we ended up getting off at the Tokyo station as opposed to going all the way to the end of the bus line this time again too, because taking the train from Tokyo, even though it was an hour, was going to be much faster than waiting for the bus to arrive all the way at the last stop. So, and you arrive at Tokyo at 6 a.m. Nothing's open. It's hilarious to be in Tokyo Station when nothing's open. It's wow, where's all the people? This station is usually packed. Nobody's here. So, yeah, it's quite funny to be going through all that stuff when nobody's around. But, yep. So fun. Yeah, it was a good trip in the end. And we were all dead tired that next day because, again, we woke up at 5:30 a.m. I forget, super early, and the bus wakes you up. It was good.
And you're leaving again, what, tomorrow?
No, we're leaving on Monday for Hakone. So another area near Yamanakoko, actually. Yeah. But it looks like rain in Hakone.
And how long are you out there this time?
6 days. We're not coming back till Saturday. All right, Ryan, I had you pick 2 portable devices. This came to me for a few reasons. This came to me because one of the podcasts I listened to, Connected, had an episode ranking iPhones because of the 15th anniversary of the iPhone. And I definitely disagreed with them on at least one ranking. A few others too, but not as strongly as at least one. So I will be talking about one of my iPhones there because I was thinking I've had 5 iPhones. 3G.
I've had 3, I think. I hold on to my iPhones far longer than I should.
No, this is my 6th iPhone. The one I have now is my 6th iPhone. It's my 6th carry iPhone, not including the many iPhones my kids have and things like that. This is my 6th carry iPhone. So I've had 6 of them. That's a lot of iPhones, I guess. Yeah, I definitely disagreed with one, so I want to bring that up in my pick. But yeah, you've only had 3, so there's not enough to have a pick 2 on, and you only have 3. Pick 2 of the 3, Ryan.
Yeah, no, I didn't think that I should be picking 2 of 3 iPhones.
So yep, I widened it to handheld devices.
Which I'm grateful for.
And it's good for me too, because I won't pick 2 iPhones. So yeah, pick 2 handheld devices, which is still kind of broad. I mean, well, it could be kind of broad. But anyway, we'll have fun with that. It means we can do this again sometime, I think, perhaps.
Yep. So I think if I'm going to pick one of my favorite handheld devices, I've got to go with the old classic love of my life, the original Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
When I say the original Game Boy, I am talking about the gray brick that took 4 AA batteries and usually ate them within 2 hours. Okay, maybe I'm underestimating or overestimating how long it took. I'm not really sure.
And did you have the light attachment thingy that hooked onto the top?
I did have the light attachment. I not only had the light attachment, I also had a magnifying glass /
Yeah, didn't it come with a magnifying glass? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a whole thing, right? Lights and magnifying glass all in one thing. You snapped it on top.
Uh-huh.
I remember that stuff.
And then you have your headphone jack in the side. And the reason why I bring up my original Game Boy, because I've had multiple portable gaming systems in my life, but the original Game Boy was really the one that I remember spending the most time with. I mean, around the same time, I also had a Game Gear, which is the one made by Sega.
Oh, yeah, Sega. Color, too. Wasn't the Game Gear color?
The Game Gear was color.
You had them at the same time?
No, maybe a couple years later.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I'm trying to remember my youth. It's getting harder. But the Game Gear, the reason why I could never get behind the Game Gear was how many batteries it took and how quickly it ate them. Like, I just could not keep that thing fed. But the Game Boy, I remember going on. So my parents, we went on a lot of car trips growing up. A lot of car trips. And me and my brother would sit in the back and play our Game Boys or read our books and just sit in the back seat doing that. And one of my favorite memories of these car trips was playing the original Pokemon on my Game Boy. So I had Pokemon Red, which was the first Pokemon that I had, and my brother had Blue. And we also had the link cable, so we would trade our Pokemon so that I could get the Vulpix and he could get the Growlithe and all these sort of things.
Quality. Mm-hmm.
Quality, yeah.
So this is how you practice sharing growing up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No fights were had, huh?
I don't think we actually fought over anything.
Good.
But yeah, no, I just remember having a good time on a lot of car trips playing my Game Boy because we needed to take a lot of car trips growing up. There was a period where my parents had to go to a bunch of different churches. Part of their job was they had to visit every church for the denomination they worked for in the region they supervised, which meant that for all of Minnesota and North Dakota, we had to visit every single one of those churches once a year at the bare minimum. So pretty much every weekend we were jumping in the car and driving up to like Duluth and driving up to Minot. You know, places that I'm sure people know exist.
It's around somewhere.
Minot is North Dakota. But yeah, it was a wonderful trip. I got a lot of reading and playing video games through those trips, and I will always remember my original Game Boy from that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. All right. Before I do my phone, I'm going to do my other device first. And I'm going to pick my handspring visor.
Your what?
My handspring visor. It is a Palm-compatible PDA, personal digital assistant. And it's a black and white thing. And I had this, I think I got it in high school, but I continued using it into college. In fact, I remember, I think it's my sophomore year, I remember taking it to class and taking notes on it. And I must have done it earlier too, in freshman year too, but I remember specifically doing it sophomore year. And because, when I went to college, nobody had laptops. That was exorbitant amount of money to pay for a portable computer. We all had desktops. So I brought my Palm Pilot to school and would take notes on my Palm Pilot as opposed to taking notes on paper. I'm sure I got better notes than everyone else, Ryan.
Uh-huh.
Probably not, because I was spending too much time formatting my notes. Just getting the right line breaks in the right spots. And of course, I couldn't take any formulas down or anything like that. I could only take notes. Oh, goodness. So that's probably why I didn't use it for all my classes, because I actually needed to write formulas down for all my math classes. But anyway, I had a handspring visor. And the cool thing about the handspring visor was that it had a whole slot in the back where you could put a whole bunch of things, of course, which I had none. I did not buy the backup module or the camera or any of the other things, or the modem or the Wi-Fi module. I had none of them. There were a whole bunch of modules you could buy. I didn't have a single one, but that was cool. It was a cool thing to have. There was a documentary about the handspring that was pretty cool, about the guy who developed handspring, who actually came from Palm. He was working for Palm Pilot, and he had started the original Palm Pilots, but then, I forget the reason, but he left Palm and created another company that just made Palm compatible devices. And that worked out well. And then he got reacquired by Palm later on. But then, of course, the iPhone came out. And in listening to that documentary, one of the things that's very interesting is this guy was a pretty good visionary, which is why the handspring visor was so cool. I mean, it was cool for the time, for sure. He was a very good visionary, but he did not have the clout or the power that Steve Jobs had to walk up to the phone companies and say, we're going to make a phone like this, and you're going to sell it. And them say, okay, sure, we'll do that. This handspring guy, I forget his name, but he did not have that clout. He would go with his very cool smartphone and go up to these cell phone companies and say, look, I'd like to sell my smartphone on your service. And they would say, fine, but you need to have these 5 buttons that we're going to demand you have. And you have to put our logo on the back and blah, blah, blah. Like, that was how he had to do it. There was no other way. So there would have been no way for him, even though he knew touchscreens were coming, there was no way for him to do what an iPhone could do before an iPhone did it, because he just did not have the power. It sounded like there was often times where the manufacturers would say, fine, you need to have, these many buttons that we're going to demand you have and this software installed on it. And they would have to bend over backward to do it and not get their phones out as fast as they could have, because they had to spend all these times listening to the carrier's demands. So anyway, that's quite interesting. According to the way the documentary was painting him anyway, he did seem to be fairly close in visionariness as Steve Jobs. He just didn't have the clout that Steve Jobs had. A large company selling other products backing him up, saying like, look, this is all the... I mean, he had a lot of innovation in his company with handspring and all the other PDAs, but not the same amount of, clout that Apple carried. So too bad. But anyway, that was quite interesting.
Yeah.
I loved my handspring visor. I had a tiny portable keyboard, kind of like the one you have now, actually, for your phone.
No, I use that for my iPad.
Your iPad? I had a keyboard similar to that. It folded up. It folded up more into a W. I think yours folds in half, right?
Yep.
Yeah, mine folded into a W, and then it would be similar in size to the handspring itself. So I could carry that to class, unfold it, and then set the handspring in with a wire. I mean, it would dock in, not wireless. But it was cool. My handspring was my calendar, and I had to use iSync to sync it to my Mac. It was a pretty cool thing. I mean, this is back 2000. Like, I tried a Newton for a little while too, but the handspring was just so much tinier. And then when I came to school here, I had the school buy me a Palm TX, which was the newest version at the time. And man, was that cool. 128 megabytes of internal memory, Ryan. I could fit one TV show on it. When I'd ride the train downtown, I'd watch one TV show, and then when I'd get home, I'd have to delete that one and put another one on. Yep, it was cool. And now I can fit like a season on my phone all at once. Or watch them through the wireless anyway. Ay. Man, was it cool, Ryan.
Well, I was not cool enough to have one of those.
Palm Pilot. I got very good at writing graffiti, the text that you would need to write. I got very good at writing graffiti. In fact, so much so that when I got the Palm TX, the second one, the newer one that I had, it did not use Graffiti 1. It used Graffiti 2, which had slightly different strokes for like X and T and like a few letters. But I could not handle that. I could not handle the other strokes. I needed the original way, so I had to install software to go back to Graffiti 1, because you weren't writing normal writing. You were writing, to get a T, you were writing an upside down L, basically. Close to a 7. In fact, there was something different you had to do to get 7. I forget what that was. Anyway, I got used to writing those strokes quickly that I couldn't do an actual T when I was writing on a Palm Pilot anymore. With an iPad, with a pencil, you can just handwrite in those spots, and it will just fill that spot in, right, where you're handwriting, right? No, the Palm, you'd be writing in the separate area at the bottom, and it'd be filling in up top. So I got used to doing that. So yeah, when I got the Palm TX, I had to have the other system. Anyway, fun stuff.
Now, that does make me wonder, If you tried to write in graffiti on your iPad, would it understand it?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I do wonder if I could get a graffiti app, though. A graffiti keyboard. Ooh, I'd have to look that up. I don't think I'd be good anymore, though. I was very good back in the early 2000s. I don't think I'm good anymore. Yeah, and I want to pick my handspring visor over the Palm TX. The Palm TX was much nicer Palm Pilot, but I used my visor a lot through high school and college. And my Palm TX I probably used for 2 years, and then the iPhone came out, and then man, that thing was garbage. I don't know where my Palm TX is anymore. I thought I still had it, but I cannot find it anywhere. I've looked around for it for a while now, and I can't find it. Maybe I threw it away, which would be very sad. But man, it was the nicest Palm Pilot. Yeah, too bad.
Well, for my second choice, I thought about choosing a phone, but I'm pretty sure that you're just going to choose the phone that I'm going to choose.
Oh, okay. We'll see later. Mm-hmm.
So instead of choosing the phone, I decided that I would pick another of the devices that I have used a lot. And that is something that I used to use far more, but unfortunately have not been doing as much because of the way that I read now, is I used to use a Kindle religiously.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
I had my Kindle loaded with books. So the first time that I came to Japan, one of the few things that I was able to bring with me was I brought my Kindle. Now I also looked for sales, looked for free books, because every once in a while when it became public domain, a version of it would be free on Amazon, and I would immediately add it to the cart and throw it onto the Kindle, and then I had all my PDFs on there and things like that. But my Kindle came with me everywhere because for those of you who have never worked in a Japanese school, there is something very specific about how it works. All of the teachers are in the same room, the teacher's room. You all have a desk there, and you clock in at the beginning of the school day. At a Japanese school, every teacher clocks in at the beginning of the school day, and you can clock out after a certain period, or you can stay later if you have work that needs to be done. But you're all working in the same room. I was an assistant English teacher, which basically meant that I showed up and went to the various English classes and did whatever the individual English teacher wanted me to do. Some of them wanted me to teach the full class. Some of them wanted me to be a glorified speaker box. It varied from teacher to teacher. It was an interesting and fun experience, and I loved it. But the entire time that I was there, I didn't have to do any class prep. I didn't have to do any grading. So what is a man to do when he is stuck in a room from 8 a.m. until I think it was like 4 or 5 p.m. and his one choice was he had to be there? Well, I pulled out my Kindle and I read books. This was the time where I decided to reread through all of the Wheel of Time that had come out so far, all of the Game of Thrones that had come out that far. Oh, this was also the time that I first got into Brandon Sanderson and decided to read his entire published works at that point.
It'll be lighter than the books themselves.
Yeah. That's the thing is, so I basically sat at my desk for hours upon hours and just flipped through books. And that was my life for 2 years. And it was good. It was good. I will say that if I needed to read that much again, these days I would probably do a similar thing on my iPad. Because, I mean, I still have my Kindle, but it is a little probably outdated now. I'm sure that it still works.
Yeah, I still use mine. In fact, I brought it to Osaka with me. And the reason I use mine, I use it for, well, 2 specific reasons. One is it doesn't drain my phone battery when I'm reading through the Kindle. And the second reason I use it is because I feel it's a sign to my family that I can be more easily interrupted. I feel like if I take my phone out and start looking at my phone, I feel it to be more rude. So it's like on the bus or on the train when we're now in Osaka, and on the bus and on the train, I can take my Kindle out and read my Kindle. And I feel it's less rude. I don't know if that's really the case. I think maybe it's just my perception, but I'm hoping anyway that my family, because it's a clear sign of what I'm actually doing, right? It's not me pulling up my phone and getting distracted by a game or a news article or whatever and not paying attention to them. It's me trying to whittle the time away on the train by pulling a book out. So I don't know if it's really the case or just myself convincing myself that's the case, but I'm hoping it's me signaling to them that I'm being less rude. But I'm still not paying attention to them, so maybe it's not. I'm not really, so I don't really know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, I don't have to worry about that, so because usually when I'm traveling, I travel alone. So if I'm listening to a book, I'm listening to a book. If I'm physically reading the book, then I'm reading it on my iPad.
The book that I started reading during spring break is the one that I was reading now. I still haven't finished it. I got to finish that book. Yeah, I like that the Kindles signify this is what I'm doing. I'm reading a book.
Yeah, I think it's just the fact that because I've been buying so many books in audio format these days, honestly, it feels like if I want to read a book, I have most of the books that I really want to get to in audio format.
On my Kindle, I can put audiobooks. I can put Audible books on my Kindle. It'll automatically download it if I tell it to.
I haven't tried.
I have Bluetooth on my Kindle, so I can connect Bluetooth headphones to it.
Oh, I definitely don't have Bluetooth on my Kindle, I don't think.
Okay. So you'd have to have a newer Kindle. But I haven't ever tried it. I don't know how fast it runs the battery down. But my battery lasts forever. I do wish I had a faster Kindle in terms of page flips.
Yeah.
I feel like refreshing is slow on mine even still, a fourth one. When I read the book on my phone, I do like how fast the page will flip. It doesn't blink quite so long. But I'm not willing to pay a lot of money for an expensive Kindle. And I'm probably not going to buy another Kindle till this one breaks. So Ryan, I'm going to talk about, we'll see if this is what you say, my iPhone 7 actually.
Oh.
So maybe it wasn't the phone you thought.
No, I thought you were going to go with your 11.
No, I'm going to say my 7. The guys on Connected ranked this phone really low. And I understand their reasoning. I definitely understand their reasoning.
But you disagree with it.
Oh, yes, I disagree. I disagree with it because the reasons why I like it don't apply to them. So they didn't get the benefits that I got with the iPhone 7. So I understand why they didn't rank it because the things that I really liked didn't come to them. And one of their biggest complaints, and I agree with this complaint, is that it was the first phone to drop the headphone jack. And I'm living with that problem with my family right now because my daughters all want to listen to their audiobooks on their phones. Actually, they all have Bluetooth headphones. They just don't want to wear their big chunky ones. They want earbuds. And they all don't have earbuds that plug into the lightning jack, so they're all needing to borrow my adapters. So I have to keep removing my adapters from my headphones so that they can use them.
Or you just have to buy an adapter for each of them.
Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll just buy it.
I mean, aren't the adapters like 30 cents?
No, they're 1,000 yen.
Oh.
So, but it is easier just to have the adapter attached to the headphone all the time. And they can use it with their iPads too, or just get them headphones with lightning jacks. But anyway, so it is a problem. It is a problem that iPhones don't have headphone jacks. I agree. It's a problem. I have run into that. I ran into it when I got my iPhone 7. I mean, I would walk around school and I was like, oh, I'll test out music on this projector. Let me just plug the projector earphone jack into my iPhone. Oh, wait, it doesn't have a headphone jack. When I first got my iPhone, that was a problem. And I agree. It was annoying. Pretty soon after that, I had gotten AirPods. So the problem basically went away. I mean, yes, I still couldn't connect to projectors, but I did other things instead. I mean, AirPlay worked for that too, because we had Apple TVs on all of our projectors. That problem kind of went away because of AirPlay and Bluetooth headphones. So I really don't run into that problem too much. And all of my headphones that I have adapters Velcroed to them so that when I need to plug in to my phone, I just use the adapter. So to me, it's better just to buy an adapter for each pair of your headphones, which I probably will for my daughters soon. So that problem has kind of gone away. I agree. It was a problem, and that was their biggest complaint. But to me, the biggest things about the iPhone 7, first of all, it was the first camera that I had that could do 4K video recording. I think the 6S had this feature too, but that was a big upgrade for me to be able to do 4K video recording on it because I was coming from an iPhone 6 at the time, which couldn't do 4K. This camera could, so that was huge for me. And then two really important things. One was that it was mostly waterproof. when you purchased it. When you purchased it. If you want to listen to my sad story, listen to episode 4 of this podcast, where my iPhone 7 had an unfortunate ending. Although technically it still works. I still use it on my desk at home now to do music stuff. But yeah, that is a sad ending to my iPhone 7 that has to do with the waterproof thing. And the reason why was because I, as a cross-country coach, I would use my phone in the rain because it would be raining and I would need to look up something for some kid or call for something for some kid. And we're standing outside in the rain because we're running in the rain, and I would need to use my phone in the rain. And I just hated my iPhone 6 in the rain. In fact, I bought a special case for my iPhone 6. I bought an OtterBox case so that I could use it in the rain. And that was a super annoying case, but whenever it would rain, I'd put that case on. And then whenever it stopped raining, I'd take the case right off because it was super annoying. But I loved the fact that that phone could be used in the rain. Now all phones can, which is nice, but that was the first that offered that. It didn't come with the 6S. The iPhone 7 was the first that could do that. Very pleased with that. The iPhone 7, the other big thing was that there was a separate model sold in Japan, different than the rest of the world, that had Suica built in. It was the first phone where the Suica card was inside the phone. So really, I know that touch payments have been recent in more recent phones in America. But man, Suica and an iPhone 7 meant that you could go places and pay with just your phone. You didn't have to bring any money with you. You could just tap your phone and pay. Way back when this came out, way back in 2016, I could pay anywhere with my iPhone 7. So that was quite nice. So those are huge things for me, both of them. I mean, the fact that it could be mostly waterproof up until the fact that it's 3 years old, then it's no longer waterproof. And the fact that you could use Suica with it here in Japan, so you could go on the train, you could buy drinks in the vending machines, I often pay with Suica at some shops near the station. I buy donuts at the donut shop near the station, and I buy bread at the bread shop near the station with Suica all the time now because it's just easy. Mm-hmm. And partly because it's the only non-cash payment they allow, since they don't allow cards, which is weird. But it was quite a nice phone. I really liked it. You know, my iPhone 11 that you mentioned, it is better in many ways, but this was the first to make huge changes. I think my iPhone 11 was definitely better in battery and definitely better in speed and things like that, but they weren't as game-changing as waterproofing and Suica. I guess I should have explained that Suica it's the transit card here in Japan, but it's basically a cashless payment system. It's a prepaid card. You charge it up, and then you can use it on the trains, or you charge it up and you can use it at vending machines, stores, things like that. A lot of them take it. Not all stores take it, but a lot of stores take it.
Yeah, but it's pretty much taken in a ridiculous number of places.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So quite nice. It was game-changing, that phone, for me. I think those features are really for me, whereas there weren't for many other people, which is why I understand they didn't rank this phone so high in their ranking. But this was a game-changing phone for me.
Well, again, it really would have been different for a perspective of somebody who, number one, wasn't living in Japan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah. Because there was a very specific version for Japan. Yeah, well, other places didn't have that version. And you had to have Suica and things like that. So, but yeah, it was quite nice. So that is why I choose the iPhone 7.
All right.
So the 11 was a good phone, and I really do like my iPhone 11. And I still like it, even though now it's 3 years old. But my iPhone 7, and the iPhone 7 was light. Like the iPhone 11 is definitely heavier, but I do like the bigger screen.
Wine.
And the iPhone 7 didn't have a glass back that I'm not worried about breaking half the time. That is nice to not have a glass back.
Well, what can you do?
Yeah. Oh, the iPhone 7 came in jet black. That was great. Jet black was excellent. And it just looked nicer as I got it scuffed up, slightly scuffed. Oh, it just kept looking good. The jet black version was very nice. So there you go. Good devices. I think we can come back to this topic another time.
Yeah, I purposefully only chose one gaming one because there were several other gaming ones that I could have chosen.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the Kindle was a good pick. I do like my Kindle, which is technically my wife's Kindle, but I use it more often, I think. But she used it more often when I first bought it, which is good because it really was a gift for my wife. It wasn't a gift for my wife that I used. It wasn't a gift for my wife for me. It wasn't one of those gifts. It was a gift for her. She used it. She used it a bunch, but she really does prefer paper books, which is fine. She does prefer paper books.
And that's just one's personal preference.
Mhm.
Same way that, like, I have realized that I do a lot of listening reading.
Mhm. What did you buy for us this time, Ryan?
It is a ume honey sparkling craft drink.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's basically seltzer.
Yeah. With ume honey, though.
Mm-hmm. Ume being plum in Japanese. Ume honey. 1% fruit juice, Ryan.
1%. And I will say that I only assume that it is honey because there is a picture of honey right on the bottle.
Yeah. It has 8 calories. So adding the honey and the plum has added some calories.
Oh, no.
But it'll be seltzer, so it won't be overwhelming. Well, at least I hope not.
But yeah, I mean, we've done ume drinks before, but I saw this one and it seemed like an interesting enough mix that I was like, well, let's add that in.
Well, and I like Suntory sparkling, actually. The lemon stuff, I actually have it delivered to my house on a regular basis because I like that seltzer. And generally speaking, it doesn't have many calories. Like this one, only 8.
8's just going to break the bank, though.
I know. I'm going to have to run for an extra 10 minutes tomorrow. I like the Suntory sparkling, so let's see how this fares.
Sounds like a plan.
I do like that Suntory generally has a good amount of fizz. Ooh, and the honey ume smell is fairly strong, actually.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice smell, though.
It is. I think the sourness of the plum is too overwhelming. The smell is very sweet, and the taste is very sour, right?
Yeah, it is.
Pungent? What's the puckering kind of taste, right?
Yeah, it's sour.
Wow, the taste is very different than the smell. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
The smell is definitely sweet. You can smell the sweet part of the ume and the honey, but the drink is super sour.
Yeah. You know, I was a little hopeful for this, and I think
If it tasted like it smelled,
I would be all for it.
yeah, I think so.
Though if it tasted like it smelled, it wouldn't be 8 calories.
Probably not. No, probably it would be a lot more. The honey would cause more. Man.
Yeah. All right.
What are you going to go with?
I'm not happy with this. I'm thinking I might go as low as a 4.
I was thinking lower, actually.
You were thinking lower than a 4. Oh, wow. I mean, I could potentially even go lower. I was questioning whether I was being too harsh.
Maybe the smell brings it to a 4. Because the pleasantness of the smell is nice.
Yeah, but actually I might go 3. I'm looking at the rest of these, and I think, yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.
In some ways, I think it falls along the lines of the craft cola, which I didn't like for its flavor of the spices. And I think this flavor is in the same category of not liking to me.
Yeah.
Especially the flavor. I mean, the smell is good. I think probably the smell doesn't do enough to resurrect it to 4, I think.
See, I think for me, it's the fact that occasionally I get a decent taste in it, but then the aftertaste that's like stuck on my tongue is just something that I just hate it.
Right. It feels like my tongue is getting 10 extra wrinkles because like contracting. Like every time.
No, so like the initial taste, I could go up to a 4 on it. But then the aftertaste that's stuck with me for like an hour, that's what drops it back down. So no, it's a 3.
Yep, I think so too. I'm going to go with 3 also. I'm going to set it to the side. Maybe I will drink some more later when I'm really thirsty.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably just going to close the lid and then use it as a cooling device for my forehead.
And both Ryan and I did look at the stores for Kit Kats.
Mm-hmm.
And there hasn't been anything new.
We haven't really come across any new and exciting flavors, so we'll probably see what we can find and maybe occasionally mix things up with other interesting flavored snacks in general, not just Kit Kats. Because, you know, otherwise we will eat the world's supply of Kit Kats.
And there are other good snacks in Japan.
Yeah.
All right, so I had you read a book, Ryan.
Yes, you did.
And everyone agrees it is the best book.
Everyone agrees that this is the best book. Though some people might think it's not the best book.
Wait a minute. Would you be okay? Wait, I'll answer that question shortly. I had you read "We're Not From Here," which I actually purchased for my daughter because in the international schools here in Japan, they have a Sakura Book Award, and I have no idea how the books get on that award. I don't know who votes. Does the librarians vote for it? I don't know how it works, but the international schools together have a Sakura Book Award that they all do. And this book was on the middle school selection for Sakura Books last year, 2021. So I bought it for her because she just couldn't find the time to sit down and read. So I bought the audiobook for her as a Sakura book too. One of the reasons why my daughter had to turn it in was because Sakura books can't be renewed because they're in high demand because everybody wants to read the award winners. So that was one of the other reasons I bought the audiobook, was because I think she might have needed to turn it in because she wasn't finishing it and she had to turn it in. And then I decided, well, I have this book. I should listen to it too. And it surprised me. So I was like, oh, not a bad book. And it brought up some interesting topics. So I wanted to present it to you and see what you thought of it.
Well, yeah, I thought it was interesting. But before we get into it, I think we should probably go into our normal spoiler warning and summary. So if you have not read the book, at this point, I would suggest that you turn back now, go ahead and read the book, and come back and join us when you've finished.
It's not terribly long.
As an audiobook, I think it's about 6 to 7 hours long.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I listened to it the second time this week, and I did have it up to like 2.9x because I had already listened to it once, so I didn't need to concentrate on it fully. So I think I consumed it in like 3 hours this time around, but I probably can't do that for most. I think you could at least have it on to 1.5x or 2x and get it done pretty quick.
It is 256 pages as a paperback. Yeah. Well, if you have not read it, feel free to turn back now. But if you have read it and you just would like a little bit of a summary, that is what I'm here for. And here we go. In the book, We're Not From Here by Jeff Rodkey, we may have already broken the Earth. Lan and his family, at the beginning of the book, live on Mars, and it's generally not a great situation. While looking for a new planet, they find a planet named Chum, which is not only livable, but there are also 4 other peaceful sentient races there. The Zhuri, the Ororo, the Crick, and the Nug. After some negotiation and revealing all of humanity's history to these races, they are finally invited to join these 4 races on the planet Chum. So they go into cold sleep and travel 20 years to this planet. When they wake up, the situation has changed. They are no longer welcome, and the Nug are also no longer around. Eventually, through some tense negotiation, one family got admitted to the planet as a trial run. That family was Lan's. Lan, with his sister, went to the school on the planet, and his parents were given some pretty menial jobs. But the government that had taken over in the 20 years since they had last spoken was focused on one thing: that emotion was bad. Anything that causes emotions was also bad. And this was problematic because the thing that the humans felt that they could bring and contribute to this planet were things of culture. Things like comedy and music. Yes, because comedy and music are the 2 things of culture. That's how we define culture.
They're the important things of culture. That and sci-fi stories.
So it is eventually revealed that the reason that the government wants to keep the emotions suppressed is because they were trying to keep anger from rising in the population of the Zhuri. Because when anger rises in the Zhuri, they can potentially go into what is called a swarm, where they will swarm around an enemy and spit acid at them. And they are driven in this as a community, and generally, let's just say it gets bad. So the government tried to stamp down on any of these things and tried to drive a wedge between humanity and the local population by feeding a constant stream of news about how dangerous humans are and how violent humans are. And they did this by showing clips of videos, both historical and fictional, And this just caused more and more anger towards the humans and the humans that were currently on the planet, which then the government used to show that the humans shouldn't be on the planet. Eventually, things came to a head when one of Lan's friends, an Ororo, sold their comedy and music to a number of citizens, which ended up getting the humans in a little bit of trouble. In a last-ditch effort, Lan and his family decided to make a movie to introduce humanity to the people of the planet and try to undercut all these lies. This unfortunately ends up blowing up in their faces, and they are arrested again. While in prison, the society goes into a rage. They are fueled by anger, and they end up going into a swarm and try to kill the humans. Lan and his sister are broken out by his Ororo friend from prison, and they are trying to escape in the ship when they realize that Lan's parents are being attacked by the swarm. And so in a last-ditch effort, they decide that they're going to try to calm down the swarm through the power of music, something they realized when the Zhuri watched the video from earlier. Now, Ila, Lan's sister, was a famous singer and songwriter. And so she, in this ship, flew above the swarm and sung, trying to calm the swarm. Unfortunately, they were shot down, but the singing continued, and they tried to put all of the emotions to rest through helping calm everyone down with song. Eventually, things did calm down. The governments changed hands. The government trying to suppress feelings went into the history books, and a new government, one that tried to encourage positive feelings, became the new government. And all the remaining humans were invited to stay on the planet Choom.
Mm-hmm. So, Ryan.
Yeah.
How did you feel about this book?
Well, I thought it was interesting. I thought it had a interesting setting. I felt like it created some interesting nations and it created some interesting societies. Mm-hmm. But I do have to acknowledge that it is a middle grade book because there are certain things that I read and was like, oh, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with this book is the simplistic solution that everything, the simplistic excuse. Oh, the group of them just sways to her music, so if we just play the music, everybody will be okay and we'll solve the whole problem.
Not just that, it also felt very much like a lot of things were simplistic. Like, all Zhuri Are X. All Ororo Are Y.
Yes, although
I know there were exceptions.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is they say that, but then they're not. I don't think it's that bad, but...
Yeah, I think they tried to set it up that there were exceptions to the rule, especially when, like, it's like, oh, all Ororo are 700 times smarter than humans. Great. All Crick think largely about food.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe that's just because you don't get to know them on a larger scale.
To meet enough of them, yeah.
Because the race that you deal with the most is the Zhuri. And the Zhuri, the main thing about them is they are very much designed around the idea of community, of a swarm.
Hive mind.
Of a hive mind, yes. And so what happens to one can affect the others, that sort of idea. And so everything being like this, we all need to agree, we all need to be a part of this group. And then these few dissenters tried to set that apart. But it still felt like a lot of things were very simplistic. Also, there were a couple of things that were like, they sounded like Chekhov's gun and then nothing came about by it.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess so.
Like, why did the Ororo friend give the Crick robot to Lan?
Yeah.
Like, it's given to Lan and never used.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was just to signal that this might be the last time they see each other, but yeah, I see what you mean.
It felt like a significant enough thing. Why would you include it if you're not going to use it?
Yeah.
he could have cut that out of the book entirely and nothing would have been affected.
Yep. I do think, though, that it does have, like you said, very interesting world building, right? I mean, especially the first few chapters of where is the human race, right? Like,
yeah.
How did we get here?
I will say there are very predictable responses from multiple groups.
Yeah, especially the ones that believe, oh, we can go back to Earth, or the ones that we'll just do this, even though science says it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, there was not that many of them. But, humanity is painted humanity's not painted poorly, but it's painted in such a way that, like, of course, not everybody chooses to go back to Earth, even though it has lots of radiation. There's just a handful of them. But still, the people who make it are like, it is too bad. We haven't heard from them since they landed, so they pretty much died as soon as they landed, which is too bad. And then again, the planet is very interesting. How did you feel about all of the propaganda?
You really had to ask me that question. Because that sort of thing is the sort of thing that riles me up.
I know. I mean, well, it's supposed to, though, right? I mean, that's the point of this.
Yes.
It's supposed to rile you up. I do think it's funny that they call them the progressives and the traditionalists, and because you can make parallels to our society with that pretty easily. But I do think that that's funny.
But I mean, you can use that for pretty much almost any society, because so oftentimes society, like one of the things that the Ororo talk about is the fact that so often people are trying to push things forward in a more progressive sort of thing, to progress. And the reactionary side of things is a balancing act, is somebody who is saying, no, we are changing too much too quickly. So that is what leads to the traditionalist sort of idea. In modern political thought, disregarding what we often associate with these terms, we will oftentimes say that is, yes, more progressive, and the reactionary group that is trying to keep things a little bit more similar, if they feel like things are going too fast or changing too much, they would be considered what is called conservative.
Yeah.
Because they are trying to conserve what is.
Yep. And then it swings back and forth.
Swings back and forth. So it's like, okay, have we tried so hard to hold on to something that we are stopping any progress? Well, then you're going to start swinging back towards progressive values. And then if they feel like they've suddenly gone too far, then they start swinging back towards conservative values. Now, I think that we have seen that in the large spectrum of societies, yes, but the other side of it is like, who decides if we've swung too far one way?
Yeah.
But yeah, I digress.
I do think this is funny that this is yet another book that we're reading that is trying to get rid of emotion. Another futuristic society that decides that the best way to control the society is to clear out emotion altogether. They don't specifically say it's emotion, but it's kind of that way in, what was it called? Oh, goodness.
The Giver?
Yeah, The Giver, Jonas, yeah. Mm-hmm. They weren't clearing all emotion, but they were clearing some of them out of the way to make everybody the same. Again, everyone agrees. I did love the repetition of everybody agrees that humor is bad, that smell is bad.
Everyone agrees. Everyone knows.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows that. Yeah, no. I thought it was interesting. I think my biggest problem was the fact that because they kept saying everybody agrees, especially before I knew the context behind everyone agrees, it sounded like they were just gaslighting you.
Yeah, because then when you realize that everyone agrees is not really everyone, it is the demand of the executive branch. It's like, oh, it's not everyone agrees. This is just what
the government demands that everybody agrees to.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I read that, and because I felt like it was gaslighting me, I was just like, this is just here to make me more riled up and more angry, I know. And it achieved that goal.
In a middle grade way, you're bringing the human race to almost its extinction and then its resurgence again. But that's quite interesting. In a middle grade way of doing it. The characters were good, right? I mean, Lan and his sister. The audiobook really, I think, did a great job with all the voices. The Ororo and the Crick friend too, especially because of his comedic voice was great. But the audiobook reader did a great job with all of the voices, trying to get them to match what the book description was. and seeming to do it quite well. I like that a lot.
I felt as a whole the characters were interesting. There were a couple of characters who I don't know if I would call them fully believable, because again, it felt very simplistic, but again, I have to keep telling myself this is a middle grade book.
It's a middle grade book, and it's only 250 pages, right? I mean, yeah, we could have gotten to learn more about the principal and the teacher and things like that, but where we spent with them, they made significant... Yeah. I mean, that's where you keep thinking, wait, everybody agrees, but the principal and the teacher keep saying something different. So maybe, everybody agrees, but not everybody actually does. That's where I think, I don't know, I think they're more believable than you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
I liked putting myself into the picture of what would it be if it was humans' last chance for anything, and that, they are not going to taste candy anymore or, learn how to play an oboe. Like, nobody knows how to play an oboe. They can make one from pictures, but they don't even know if it sounds right. Things like that. Like, all the things that go away. But also, I like where the book leaves with the excitement of building something new in this new place where they are. And we don't have to bring Earth with us. It can be a green sky and red grass, and we're going to build something new here, and it doesn't have to be the same. It would be an interesting movie, I think, right?
Yeah. I will say that one of the things that was rubbing me the wrong way, I think, near the end, was the fact that what happens for the human beings who aren't what many would consider creative?
Mm-hmm.
Because it felt like it put, what's the one thing humanity can provide to our new planet? It's things of creative arts and comedy and culture and things like that. And I'm like, well, what about people who don't find that as their strength?
Mm-hmm. Once Lan's sister, Ela?
Yeah.
Once Lan's sister is no longer around or can't sing the way she could now, then, will there be somebody, there's only a few thousand humans. Of the few thousand humans, will there be another decent singer in there? I don't know, even.
Yeah.
I'm just finding an article that says Lan is not given a gender. Because he's always considered you and I.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. I think I assumed male.
And I think that happens when you are reading a book that specifies I's and U's. I think that you can read a gender in.
Yeah, I wonder what my daughter thought.
That's interesting.
I thought she thought it was a male too, but I guess I could be wrong. Maybe I just assumed she thought it was a male too. That's actually a neat literary device, right?
Yeah, it's a neat literary device because part of the thing that's nice about it is the fact that you can read your own perspective into this character. So whether that is reading the character as a male or as a female or as non-binary, you can see yourself or whomever you are in this character.
Yeah, not even the physical description is, except for short, perhaps. Well, again, short compared to the Zhuri, is not, the physical description is not even given. And if anything, the cover messes that up because the cover pictures a thin kid. So I pictured a thin boy.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that when I see this cover, I see that hairstyle, and that hairstyle looks a bit boyish to me, at least from... actually, no.
I think it could go either way, interestingly. I mean, yes,
yeah.
You can see it boyish, but I think you can also see it female.
That's interesting. I think that is a literary device so that whoever the reader is, they can read their own perspective into it.
It makes it so that it can conform to the reader more easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a way to get everybody more hooked.
Yeah.
Not just people of the same skin tone or whatever, because that's probably not even described either, I'm guessing now.
Not really, no. So, yeah.
Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. This article is written by Jeff Rodkey. So, yeah, he is saying he on purpose didn't give him a gender.
I felt like it was interesting. If it were me, I don't think this would be a hill that I'd be willing to die on. It was a good read.
It's definitely a good book for a middle grade student to read who is interested in science fiction.
Yes. Yes, I do. I do think that. I enjoyed a lot of the things that they did. The ending most chapters on a punchline was a little But I enjoyed their attempts. I would say that I would probably end up giving this like, it feels like maybe I'd give it like a 4 out of 5. I could maybe be pushed to say 3.5 if I wanted to differentiate it from like the creme de la creme. But I mean, saying 4 out of 5, 80%, that seems like a fair assessment to me. But like I said, it's a good read. It's just not like die on the hill level for me. I thought the races were interesting. I think my biggest complaint was the fact that I felt like too many of them felt very one note. So I think, again, it comes down to the fact that I wish it felt less one note to me.
Yeah. But again, only because I think it's like 250 pages. Only because of that, I think, right?
I mean, it could have been done if they had added more things. But again, they probably could have cut a few things too. And like I said, there were a few things they had in there that didn't affect anything and could have easily been cut. And they then could have replaced it with different characters, getting a little bit deeper into the differences between races. But yeah, I think that was where I landed on it.
I think I just liked it as a fun read. I think that's where I am too. So, I mean, maybe it's not a 5 for me either. I definitely say it's a 4. I don't know if it's 4.5 or something like that in terms of 5-star rating, but yeah, I thought it was fun.
Fun, I agree. It was fun. I think it's the fact that I was sitting there wanting to read more into it and finding that there wasn't enough to read into certain things, which again, I had to keep coming back and saying, this is a middle grade book. I can't always approach it in the same way that I do adult fantasy and sci-fi. But yeah, as a fun read, I thought it was fun.
Yep, and it has a good amount of build-up tension, except for the fact that the solutions are, oh my goodness, the Ororo happens to be here and save the day, and oh my goodness, everybody happens to sway to the music to calm everybody down. Except for those 2 facts. Well, and maybe 1 or 2 other things like that. It's got tension that just all resolves very nicely, right? Except for the fact that it's a middle grade book and the solutions are simplistic. It's fun.
Yeah.
And that's not that hard of a barrier to overcome.
No, it's really not.
Yeah, I'm glad that it won the Sakura Award. I think that is neat. Well, Ryan, what do we have next time? It is you providing the topic.
Well, next time, I think that it's time for us to return to the world of Mistborn. So I'm going to have you read book 2 of the Wax and Wayne series, which is Shadows of Self. So, more Wax and Wayne.
Sounds good.
Well, we hope you found something nice about this hill that we were willing to die on. And we appreciate all of our listeners coming along with us on this journey with us. And if you've ever thought to yourself, hey, I really like these guys and what they do, and I wish there was just some way I could support them, you can visit myhilltodieon.com/members for more details. But what does it mean to be a member? Well, for the low price of $2 a month or $15 a year, you can help support this podcast, keep us on the air, and you'll get access to the members-only podcast, Not My Hill, where we discuss things that are probably somebody else's hill to die on. We have strong feelings about them, but as the title says, they're just definitely not hills that we're willing to die on. In addition to this, you'll also get access to the suggestion form, where you can make suggestions for our Listener Hill episodes, where we will watch, read, or climb up a hill that you're willing to die on, and we'll talk all about it. But know that the conversation doesn't have to end here. The discussion can continue with us through Reddit at the subreddit My Hill to Die On, or contacting us through Twitter at My Hill to Die On. Or you can reach us by email, which is, to no one's surprise, myhilltodieon@gmail.com. And finally, we upload all of our episodes to our YouTube channel, which is also named, say it with me now, folks, My Hill to Die On.
Early in the summer, I was power washing my driveway and my deck, and the power washer ran out of gas. And it's a 4-stroke power washer, so I had to go get more gas from the gas station. And I had to sign a paper saying what I was using with this gas that I was getting, because I was getting it in a can, not in my car. And the maintenance guy said that you have to fill out this paper because somebody used a gas can to make a bomb somewhere.
Oh.
Which is silly, right? Because I could have just siphoned it out of my car and put it in a can. But anyway, because I was getting it in a can, I had to state what the use of that gas was for. So, interesting. It's even regulated there, right? So it could be traced back to me. They're not going to trace any gas back to me, but they have a list of who bought gas at what time and how much in a gas can.
Well, it was either that or you drag your power washer down to the gas station.
Yeah, I wonder, right? Could I have filled it right into the power washer? Should I have brought the power washer and just filled it right into the power washer? Would that have been
sufficient?
Yeah. Interesting question. Which is interesting because I go to that same gas station and fill up my tanks of kerosene all the time, right? My huge plastic tins of kerosene, I fill up without signing any paperwork at all. But regular gasoline, I have to sign a form for. Interesting, right? Is kerosene less flammable than regular octane?
I have no idea.
Yeah, and I'm probably not going to run an experiment to find out either. So I think we can leave it at that.
Are you sure? I mean, we can always cause more explosions.
If we're running out of Kit Kats, Jagariko has been putting out some weird flavors.
Yeah, there's a lot of other snacks we can go to. Because, I mean, Kit Kat's been our go-to. But as those are starting to dry up a bit, at least unless we go to specialty stores.
Yeah.
If we went to a specialty store, I'm sure we would find another 100 that we haven't tried yet.
Yeah, but I don't want to make it too hard on ourselves. And Jagariko is something we did with Casey, so it's not out there.
No,
so.
and there's a lot of things that we could try. So maybe we open it up to more snacks than just Kit Kats now.
Yep.
But the problem is, how do you compare other snacks to Kit Kats?
Well, I think we have to judge them on the same 10-point scale, but I don't know if we compare them to each other, but we give it a rating on its own. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, on a 10-point scale is fine. But, I mean, I'm just thinking of, like, end-of-the-year kind of wrap-ups where we go, like, oh, this is my...
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, because we do have to compare them then.
Yeah. But that's a problem for future Ryan.
Yeah. I did buy the RecDiff shirt, though. Have you seen that shirt?
Not yet.
I'm doing a lot of things with computers right now. It's a great shirt. Which totally fits my life, so I'm buying it.
I'm doing a lot of things with computers right now.
Yep. That's what the shirt says.
I can get behind that.
I bought that shirt because we were going to USJ, Universal Studios Japan. So
United States Japan.
United States Japan. No, not that one. And we talk about these experiences to see if we can get just one more person
to join us on our hill to die on.
I really do every time say get just. I think you are the only ones that say just get, and I say get just every time. You
know what?
It's okay.
That's fine. I'm good with that.
That's a stat we can keep later. Do you happen to remember which Kindle you had?
Let's see. It would have been...
Oh, it does say years in there, too.
It would have been the Kindle 4th generation.
Kindle 4? With the square buttonish?
Yeah, the square button. I think that's the one that I had. Because I chose not to get any with... I didn't want one with a keyboard thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would have been 2011, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that one came out.
Late 2011. Mm-hmm.
Which let's see, that would have been the first year out of college. Yeah, that would have been the perfect time for me. Yeah, I probably bought that right before I came to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it would have been a Kindle 4. And then when that one eventually died, I think I got I know I have a Paperwhite now.
Yeah, I have a Paperwhite too. Remember exactly which one. It's not, I don't think it's the newest anymore.
Oh, it's definitely not the newest.
I think I have the 4th iteration of the Kindle Paperwhite.
I think mine's the I think mine might be the second iteration of the Paperwhite. Wearing the headphones has been a bit of a struggle for me today. Because the tops of my ears are burned, the top of my head is burned. Whew.
Well, this year I promise not to go into the onsen after I've been at the beach all day, okay? That's my promise this year, okay, Ryan? I'm not going to make that mistake yet again.
You won't? Are you sure?
I sure hope not. I've made that mistake too often. I'm not even sure we're going to the beach this year. But if I do, I should not go into the onsen after being at the beach all day. It will aggravate any sunburn that I had gotten.
Yeah, probably. It is honestly it is a mix of pain and my entire face is itchy, but I can't scratch it because it hurts to scratch it.
Yeah, don't do that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a mix of pain and itchiness, and I hate everything right now.
It's a mix of pain and sadness, you'd say?
Yeah. It's a mix of pain and sadness. That's how I feel.
It's too bad. You have aloe? Do you have aloe?
Not in my house right now. I will probably pick some up tomorrow.
Yeah, they sell it at the stores. Unregulated.
Unregulated, woo.
Over the counter. Not like Tylenol. Anyway, sorry. Just kidding. Sorry, we can move on. Or Claritin. I mean, come on, really, right, Ryan?
That's dangerous stuff right there. God forbid you have allergy-free days.
You could fall asleep at work.
Well, that's the real danger right there. Don't fall asleep at work.
Actually, looking at this document, I forgot we didn't do a Ryan playing. I don't know if you want to do that or not. Sorry.
Well, the question is, if we do it, it's going to be a late night. I mean, It's already going to be a late night.
We've had a lot of good opening topics.
I think we can skip it this time.
Sorry.
It's fine.
And both Ryan and I did look at the stores for Kit Kats.
Mm-hmm.
And there hasn't been anything new. Every time I keep checking. There are 5 there, but they're the 5 that we've already tried.
Yeah, I went to the store today, and I saw strawberry, straight strawberry, not strawberry milk or anything like that. Which, actually, I don't think we've done straight strawberry.
We did. The Otona strawberry.
Oh, yeah, we did.
We did somewhere. At least I'm pretty sure we did, but you're right. I'm not seeing it now. I thought we did.
Because we've done strawberry milk, we've done strawberry sparkling wine, we haven't done straight.
Did we not do straight Otona strawberry?
I don't think so.
I thought we had.
Oh, I thought we had too. Well, anyway, so I went to the store and there was strawberry, white with salt, the whole wheat biscuit that we've done.
Yeah, that we just did. Yep.
Yeah. I saw a mint, which, we could always bring mint back.
Yeah, we could always do the mint again. Yeah, I don't mind eating that one.
And then there was pudding.
Yeah, pudding. Yeah, we don't need to do pudding.
And those were the ones that I saw in the store today. So, yeah, we could probably have done the Otona strawberry.
I thought we did the Otona strawberry.
Yeah, I see strawberry milk and I see strawberry sparkling wine.
You're right. Oh, man. I guess I'm pretty sure if we had done it, we would have written it down. So I guess we didn't do it. Oh, well.
Oh, well. We can always grab one for later.
Yeah, we can do it another time.
But we have been looking around. We've been trying to find other Kit Kats that were new that we hadn't tried before. And apparently we missed one. But like we said, we haven't really come across any new and exciting flavors. So we'll probably see what we can find and maybe occasionally mix things up with other interesting flavored snacks in general, not just Kit Kats. Because, otherwise we will eat the world's supply of Kit Kats. And
there are other good snacks in Japan.
Yeah. And he wept, for there were no more Kit Kats left to consume.
No, I've got 2 bags of Kit Kats in my fridge because I couldn't live in my closet anymore in the heat. I don't often keep my Kit Kats in the fridge because I think my wife, if I'm eating up that much space with chocolate in the fridge, I think she'll be like, "What? We're throwing this away." So, but she's been pretty good about it recently because it's been super hot and nothing like chocolate can stay outside the fridge. So,
yeah.
But I do need to eat them because they're taking up too much space. They really are. They really are taking up too much space. She's not wrong. So, well, she hasn't complained yet, but if she did, she wouldn't be wrong. And this book was on the middle school selection for Sakura Books last year, in 2001, I think. 2001, I think.
2001?
I'm sorry, 2021.
Yeah.
We both said the wrong year.
I jump back 10 years, you jump back 20.
20. I was pulling up the Wikipedia, but it's hard to find because we're not from here. It returns a lot of results.
What? Can't imagine. And we're just gonna keep going through. Seriously, people.
Third motorcycle today, huh?
Hey. So we're gonna have you read the book 2. So more Wax and Wayne.